This is my Bible, the Holy Bible, the Knox version, Monsignor Ronald Knox. Very beautiful version to read. It is often said of it that it's like, when you read Jesus' words, it's like looking at painted pictures. And indeed a lot of people say that, and I've heard it myself. And it was written in the beginning of the Bible that is the case. I'm going to read from the book of Luke, chapter 14. Just want you to lie down and listen. Put your spiritual ears on and a spiritual heart. May God be with you and your holy angels. There was a Sabbath day on which he was asked to take a meal with one of the chief Pharisees. And as he went into the house, they were watching him. Here his eye was met by the sight of a man who had the dropsy. Jesus asked the lawyers and Pharisees openly, "Is healing allowed on the Sabbath day?" Then, as they did not answer, he took the man by the hand and sent him away healed. And he turned on them and said, "Is there any one of you who will not pull out his ass or kiss ox immediately if it falls into a pit on the Sabbath?" Sorry, I read that wrong. Then he turned on them and said, "Is there any one of you who will not pull out his ass or his ox immediately if it falls into a pit on the Sabbath?" To this they could make no answer. He also had a parable for the guests who were invited. As he observed how they chose the chief places for themselves, he said to them, "When any man invites thee to a wedding, do not sit down in the chief place. He may have invited some guest whose rank is greater than thine. If so, his host and thine will come and say to thee, 'Make room for this man,' and so thou will find thyself taking with a blush the lowest place of all. Rather, when thou art summoned, go straight to the lowest place and sit down there. So when he who invited thee comes in, he will say, 'My friend, go higher than this.' And then honour shall be thine before all that sit down in thy company. Everyone who exalts himself shall be humbled, and he that humbles himself shall be exalted." He said moreover to his host, "When thou givest a dinner or a supper, do not ask thy neighbours to come, or thy brethren, or thy kindred, or thy friends, who are rich. It may be they will send thee invitations in return, and so thou wilt be recompensed for thy pains. Rather, when thou givest hospitality, invite poor men to come, the cripples, the lame, the blind, so thou shalt win a blessing, for these cannot make thee any return. Thy reward will come when the just rise again." Just a little talk here. For me, it makes me think of my God asks of me to be completely honest and truthful with my profound poverty spiritually, that I am nothing in Him and have nothing to offer Him, and I should not be looking to myself for any perfection, but only to Him. There is no goodness in me. I am tainted and conceived in original sin. My mind thinks in ways that it should not, and it comes as a normal reasoning and logic to me, but it is sinful to the Lord, so I cannot trust myself, nor even my very own thoughts. They deceive me because of original sin. So I must turn and depend on the Lord to fill me with His thoughts and His mind. That is my poverty. And then God will say, if you depend upon Him solely and on no other, nor at least upon yourself, which can do nothing, He will summons you, no doubt, to a higher place, as He has spoken of here, to invite the crippled, the lame, the blind, who have nothing to give in return. And now we read after this, it is the next verse on chapter 14, Luke, which I don't think I said earlier. Hearing this, one of his fellow guests said to him, "Blessed is the man who shall feast in the kingdom of God." He answered him thus, "There was a man that gave a great supper, and sent out many invitations. And when the time came for his supper, he sent one of his own servants, telling the invited guests to come, for all was now ready. And all of them, with one accord, began making excuses. 'I have bought a farm,' the first said to him, 'and I must needs go and look over it. I pray thee, count me excused.' And another said, 'I have bought 5 pair of oxen, and I am on my way to make trial of them. I pray thee, count me excused.' And another said, 'I have married a wife, and so I am unable to come.' The servant came back and told his master all this, whereupon the host fell into a rage, and said to his servant, 'Quick, go out into the streets and lanes of the city, bring in the poor, the cripples, the blind, and the lame.' And when the servant told him, 'Sir, all has been done according to thy command, but there is room left still,' the master said to the servant, 'Go out into the highways and the hedgerows, and give them no choice but to come in, that so my house may be filled. I tell you, none of those who were first invited shall taste of my supper.'" Ending there. Chapter 14, verse 23